Hey everybody, it's Tyler, aka Show Me Fly Guy. Today's video, we are doing a tying video. Now you notice I didn't say fly tying because this could go a couple of different ways. It's not necessarily a fly, but it could be. Anyway, what we're going to be tying is we're going to be tying a jig. Now, jigs can be thrown on fly rods, jigs can be thrown on spinning rods. If you want to get a big enough jig, you can throw it on a bait caster. I mean, a push button, a Zebco 202. Listen, you can throw, depending on the size of the jig and the weight of the rod, you can throw a jig on just about anything. And they are one of the most productive fishing lures ever. So what we're going to be doing is, we're going to be tying a jig today. Now, I made a note of what I have caught, the species of fish that I've caught on a jig. And this is what I've caught. Crappie, pretty normal. Trout, rainbow trout, brown trout, doesn't matter. Bass, largemouth bass, smallmouth bass. I've caught, my biggest largemouth bass ever came on a 1/16 ounce crappie jig. So, I guess it wasn't really a crappie jig, it was a bass jig in there, right? Walleye, white bass, hybrid stripers, common carp, grass carp, channel cats, almost anything will eat a jig, okay? So that's one of the reasons that we're tying it. It's so productive. You can tie them in lots of different sizes. Bigger sizes require bigger materials, smaller sizes, smaller materials, and you can tie them in any color combination that you want. By far, the biggest reason that we are tying jigs today is because it is so rewarding to catch a fish on a lure that you made. It's great to catch a fish, don't get me wrong. But when you play a bigger part in catching that fish, like you made the lure, it only feels that much better. By the way, got to give a big shout out to my buddy Steve over at Black Fly Creations for the shirt. You can see if you really get into it, or if you already are, and you want to show the world that you are a fly tying connoisseur, check out blackflycreations.com, and you can get a pretty sweet fly tying shirt there too. All right, let's talk more time. Let's make a jig. Let's go. Okay, what you're going to need to start with is a vise. You got expensive ones, you got cheaper ones. Get whatever your budget can handle, okay? But this is an important tool because it's going to hold the hook. In other words, this is your workspace. All right, other tools that you can need. You're going to need a pair of scissors. These are going to be important. You're going to need something to hold your thread. This is a bobbin. This is the thread we'll be tying with. This is a dispenser of thread. Another tool that you might need is a whip finishing tool. This is what I use. Not everybody uses these, but I prefer it because it makes life easier. All right, so the first thing that we're going to do is we're going to take our thread and we're going to start to wrap it around the hook in a clockwise rotation. And I'm going to wrap back over the thread in order to create a knot. Now you'll notice that it doesn't come undone when I let go. That means that you have secured the thread to the hook and you're ready to move on to the next step. So the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to go back to the bend of the hook. Some important parts to know of a hook are, this is the shank, the straight part, this is the bend, this is the point. Those are all things that you need to know in order to create correct proportions. Okay, now we only need two materials for this particular lure. This is marabou, real wispy stuff. Now what I do is I cut it along the vein and I cut it into smaller sections. So what I've done is I've cut up some small sections. One of the biggest things that you can know about tying a jig or any really fly is you want to get proportions right. I like to have the tail about a shank and a half of length. I like to tie the hail so that it's about a shank and a half long. Okay, we're using the shank as a measuring tool. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to hold it with my left hand. I'm going to wrap with my right. 1, 2, 3. You'll notice that it stays in place now. Now, the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to take my pair of scissors and I'm going to cut it so that it's about the same length as the shank itself. Now, I don't like to cut this part off. I like to wrap this for a couple different reasons. It adds to bulk, and in my opinion, it adds to durability. This is going to keep the hook, or keep the fly together, and keep it nice and strong and nice and durable. Now, the tail is a preference. You can keep it thin, you can make it thick, you can make it long, you can make it short. If you make it too long, you can always take your fingers and you can just kind of rip some of the sections off. That's still going to kind of give it a tapered look and make it look nice. The next thing you're going to need is chenille. This is chenille. Chenille is sometimes a fancy word for yarn. This I've chosen to be kind of a sparkly color. You can go with sparkles, you can go with drab. The choice is completely yours. Again, I'm going to make this run the full length of the shank, so that way when I tie it in, I'm tying it in real secure, and it's going to add a little bit of bulk to the jig. That's just my preference. All right, so you'll notice we've done all of our work back here towards the bend. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to start to progress forward, and again I'm going to wrap that chenille in nice and tight, but not too tight. If you pull on the thread and it breaks, it's too tight. But everybody that makes these is going to break some thread every once in a while. So then what we're going to do is we're going to start to wrap the chenille forward. You'll notice I wrap, and then you just kind of touch it with my pointer finger. Wrap, one wrap right in front of the next. Wrap, and then I just keep it from unraveling. Because if I let go, it's all going to unravel, and we have a problem. So I just continue to palmer forward, which is a fancy way for one wrap in front of the other, until I get to the head. That's about as far as I want to go. Now, I'm going to change hands. I'm going to hold this in my right hand, and I'm going to wrap my thread 1, 2, 3 times. Now, you can see that it's not coming undone, so I can cut off the excess. And folks, we are just about done tying a jig. I'm going to give it a few more wraps to secure it. Pull everything back, put a couple wraps in front. We are almost done with our crappie jig. Now, this is a little bit of a trick. To use this whip finishing tool, you place it, it spins, right? You're going to place it on top of the thread, through the hook and through the cradle, hook and cradle. Bring your thread up, make yourself a nice little triangle. Then you're going to go 1, 2, 3 times around, uncradle it, unhook it, make it tight. We're going to do that one more time. Hook it and cradle it, bring your thread up, make a triangle. Then 1, 2, 3, uncradle it, unhook it. 2 of the biggest pieces of advice that I can give you is number 1, always keep your thread tight. Number two, take your time. The faster you go, the more problems you're going to have. Next, if you want to ensure durability, take a little Sally Hansen's Hard as Nails. Just kind of dab it around the head here to make sure that knot stays real good and secure. If you don't want to go this extra step, that's all right. But other than that, you have created a jig. This is going to become a fish catching machine. And I bet you could catch a fish in almost any body of water in Missouri on this. And there's a lot of places all over the United States that this would catch you something. Thank you very much for watching. I hope that helped. I hope you learned something. I hope that this made you a better angler, a better fisher. I hope that it makes your entire experience more rewarding and maybe a little more fun. And hey, let's not forget, that's supposed to be one of the biggest reasons for fishing. It's to be fun. It also doesn't hurt when you put dinner on the table too. So, thank you for all of your support. Again, thank you for watching. I appreciate it. Every view is appreciated. If you feel inclined to like and subscribe, I would greatly appreciate it. But no pressure. Okay? Until next time, I will see you later. I'm Tyler, aka the Show Me Fly Guy, and Tide Lines on the Water. Bye-bye. So that's one of the reasons that we're doing this today, is because it just feels good. You took something and turned it into a fish catching machine. Come on up, Waylon. Come on. Fine. Come on. All right? Yes. Thank you, bud. Okay. Okay. All right. This is my dog, Waylon. This is going to go in the outtakes. Waylon, what are you are ruining. Hey, give me a kiss. Hey, give me a kiss. He's a good boy. All right, go. Vamonos. No, go over there. Go over there. Go sit. Go. No, just up. Hey, up here. Up here. Up here. He is a German short-haired pointer, and he has quickly become one of my favorite fishing buddies. Yeah. So I just thought I'd introduce you. Didn't want to be rude. Waylon, didn't want to be rude, did we? Come here. Come show everybody. Hi. Oh, and by the way, if you didn't see, it's a pretty sweet cut bow collar that he's got there. Yep. He's a bird dog, but he's a better fishing buddy than he is a bird dog. Isn't that right, buddy? Hey. You're good. Hey, wanna go fishing? Wanna go fishing? Wanna go fishing? Wanna go fishing? Me too, buddy. Me too. Let's go. All right, let's go fishing. Let's go.